Today we're going to talk about amending the federal constitution. There's actually only one form of localism that cares about amending the federal constitution. It's solely absolute localism, the form of localism that turns the pyramid of preemption upside down and makes local authority the highest law in the land, that would necessarily involve amending the Constitution. There are two different ways to propose a federal amendment, and then there are two different ways to approve a proposed amendment. Let's start by talking about the different proposal methods. The first proposal method is for Congress to vote via a supermajority in both houses to propose the amendment and submit it to ratification. The second and more complicated way that an amendment can be proposed is via a constitutional convention. If 2/3 of the states go to Congress and say, hey, please call a constitutional convention, then Congress has to call this convention, and then each state gets to elect delegates to attend this convention. Now, this method has never actually been used in American history, and one of the reasons it hasn't been used is because there's still an open question about whether or not it would be possible to limit the kinds of amendments that a constitutional convention could propose. Moving on to the two methods of ratification. The first method of ratification is to submit it back to the state legislatures. If 3/4 of all state legislatures vote in favor of adopting the amendment, then the amendment gets passed. The second way to ratify a proposed federal amendment is via ratification conventions in each state. People of each state elect delegates to them, and then the delegates vote, and if 3/4 of these special ratification conventions end up voting in favor of adopting the amendment, then the amendment passes. This second method of ratification via state ratification conventions has only been used once in our history, for the 21st Amendment. The 21st Amendment was the amendment that overturned the 18th Amendment, which was the amendment that implemented prohibition. Crucially, Congress gets to choose which method of ratification a proposed amendment is subject to. That means if there's an amendment that Congress, for whatever reason, doesn't want to pass, it can choose to submit it to the ratification method that it thinks is more likely to result in the amendment being defeated. Also note, at no point does the federal constitution allow just normal people to vote on whether or not they think a constitutional amendment is a good idea. It's only elected politicians, either in Congress or in these special constitutional conventions or in state legislatures, who get any say on whether or not we make a change to our federal constitution. In the last episode about state constitutions, I kind of clowned on Texas for handing away its ability to propose amendments to the state constitution to solely the state legislature. But at least in Texas, you still have to submit any proposed amendment to the people for them to vote on. The federal constitution doesn't give average Americans any say in whether or not a constitutional amendment gets proposed or passed.